You think you have the privilege to choose which question to answer? Oh, you want to do second one? All right. Okay, so tell us about the placenta, Valeria. Okay, so we're talking about the fetus supporting the fetus. You guys agree with what Valeria mentioned? Okay. Three main things. You got, well, nutrients between the mother and fetus. So basically, we have an exchange. Oh, that's correct. That's mostly, you can mostly read that. So, nutrients, okay? So, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals, those are those important things. You also have gases like oxygen, CO2, and what we call metabolic waste. So things like urea and other sorts of breakdown products from that fetus growing can be exchanged. Also, some antibodies, some immune cell components. So what you have is, is the maternal and fetal blood ever mixed together, or is it separate? It's separate, although some things can leak through, but it is a separate blood system. So we'll say no blood mixing, because that's why why they always HIV test mothers in prenatal care, because if she is HIV positive, they can do a C-section, and then the baby has a super low probability of having HIV, which is that kind of surprising? Kind of is, right? Because we kind of expect the blood to be mixing because it's inside, right? It's got to mix. But there is a pretty good barrier between those two blood supplies, evidenced by the fact that the HIV transmission rate from mother to child is almost zero nowadays because of the fact that pregnant women are checked, okay, for HIV all the time. First thing. Okay. Back to the first one, the human and the sperm and egg. Bree, what'd you put down? You don't have anything? Well, let's look at the size, Bree. Which one's bigger, do you think? Which one's bigger, the egg or the sperm? The egg, yes. So you can put that down. So egg is much, much, much bigger. Okay. We'll put similar, different. So, So the egg is much larger, okay, size-wise, okay? Montserrat, what do you got? Yeah. So there's a lot more sperm being made constantly, right, than eggs. Yeah. So that's different. Probably billions, maybe more. So millions of sperm, how many potential eggs does a female have in her ovaries combined? Or how many does she release? Okay, so here's a better question, I think. How many, on average, eggs does a female release during her lifetime? Because men make by billions of sperm. What about eggs? That's not too far up. It's a little more than 100. It depends on how many times she's pregnant, right, and other sorts of factors. But around 400 are produced in a lifetime. What do you think about that? About 400? Okay. All right. I like that. That's good. We got some. We have any? Are they similar in any way, Diana? Are they similar in any way? Kind of round. They have a roundish shape. Okay. All right. I might call it kind of oval, but round. I guess the round shape is there. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, I would. Roundish shape. They're part of the reproductive system, and they do, what's the function, Marcos? Yeah, so that's good. They both hold 23 chromosomes. That's important, right? For humans. Different for different animals, right? They both are the reproductive cells, right? They're both the reproductive cells, the gametes. So both, we'll say both are gametes. And this question comes up, what's the fancy word we use for saying egg production? It's called it's a word from the Bible. From a book of the Bible that people have heard of. Starts with a G. Genesis, yes. You've heard of Genesis, right? Genesis, Adam and Eve and all that stuff, right? Genesis. And then for sperm, it's called spermatogenesis. Okay? So that will be, those two processes are different. Kind of running out of space. I'm just going to put spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Oogenesis. Because for sperm, one cell becomes two cells, and then those two cells become how many? 4. But for oogenesis, it's a little different. One cell becomes 2, but in the final separation, we have an egg cell, and then we've got these little things called polar bodies. So make sure you take note of that in your studies. Okay, polar bodies and egg cell. And you might think, why is that the case? Well, the reason is, remember, the first difference is the egg is much bigger, right? So if you keep dividing something, it gets smaller, right? And the egg's got to be big enough to have mitochondria, cellular machinery, in order to survive a couple days before it makes its way down to the uterus and then can implant. It's got maybe 4 or 5 days. It's got to, maintain life, so that can happen. So it's got to be bigger to hold all that cellular machinery, and probably be. Ooh, somebody's back there. Oh, the truck. It's got to be big enough, so maybe the sperm has something to hit too, right? If it's got two teeny tiny things trying to make contact, that's going to be much harder if you got a larger egg floating around. Okay, so we're going to be taking our Topic 11 test. We haven't really practiced those DBQ questions in a while, so I want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to have you take a group test. So go ahead and group yourselves how you do, and I'll give you some time to work on this together. I'll go find a group. You want to do it solo? All right. If you want to do it solo, go for it. If you want to solo it up, you going to join here? You going to group up, Bree? Go solo. Whoa, snacks. Welcome. Whoa, that's a nice eraser. I like it. Nice carrot. Making it fun, That's 2. Welcome. All right. All right, so work on that. Let's see, maybe 15 minutes, and we'll go over, I think 15 minutes, we'll see.